Beacon Press Audio presents To Be a Problem, a Black Woman's Survival in the Racist Disability Rights Movement by Dara Baldwin. This audiobook is narrated by Jair Bush. Published by Beacon Press Audio, 2024. Introduction. I come from a beautiful, caring, strong, and courageous people who are from the amazing continent of Africa. Every day I am surrounded by my ancestorial angels who cover me in grace and love. The following pages are in my words about my story of working and surviving in the racist, supremacist, disability rights community as a non-disabled Black activist. All too often, Black people's stories are stolen, co-opted, reconfigured, ignored, challenged, and/or invalidated to make white people feel comfortable. As I wrote this book, this is the movement that is currently happening throughout the world, but especially in the United States. Eliminating the true stories of the foundations of this country is part of the modus operandi for conservative and progressive white people, a truth many suppress and block from conversations about what is truly happening. In the summer of 2018, I decided to write about working in the problematic disability rights community. It has been a mission of love because I was raised by a strong Black woman named Lillian Baldwin, who taught me to never change you and to embrace your greatness with humility. I have been blessed to know many authors, and it was their love and care that guided me to scribe my story with the intent of creating change. The tides of fate offered me this opportunity to tell this ugly truth about my traumatic experience with the power to include hope and love for the future. It is an honor to work with so many people outside the racist disability rights community who have shown me that there is a future for Black liberation that includes abolitionism and collective liberation. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. discussed power and said, "Power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. Justice at its best is love correcting everything that stands against love." In the disability rights movement, they are quick to quote MLK Jr., but they are not quick to accept that their power within the movement is reckless and abusive. They also do not accept that the implementing demands for justice by BIPOC and multi-marginalized disabled people are not only ignored, but even ridiculed, which in no way encompasses love. One of my many blessings has been to work in social justice activism for most of my life. I did this as a layperson because I was the daughter of a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and in a family who worshiped in the AME, African Methodist Episcopal Church. Both are entities with a foundation that is submerged in the social justice movement around the globe. My professional life as an activist and policy analyst started in 2004 with the completion of my master's degree in public administration from Rutgers University. I worked for almost 20 years in corporate America with overt racism before entering the social justice profession in 2004. This work is mostly done through the nonprofit industrial complex. I thought this was a different and maybe even safe space for Black excellence, a place where progressive and liberal white people are the dominant leaders doing things differently. But I soon learned that in every industrial complex system, white supremacy and racism reign supreme. The treatment of Black people in social justice work, and in particular the disability rights movement, is appalling. The title of this book comes from the brilliant prose of The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, where he discusses the white Southerners who question the existence of being Black. The section is about Du Bois responding to the real question, how does it feel to be a problem in the United States? This indirect, offensive question about the Black body actually being a problem holds precious knowledge for this Black activist. I learned early in my work within the disability rights movement that my very existence in a room was a problem. My ability to analyze the racist policy agendas was a problem. My understanding of the white supremacy and privilege that permeate almost every event and the outreach of this movement was a problem. Every group has problems, but it will not tolerate a problem that can disrupt and dismantle the systems of power. In my case, this manifested into a horrible work environment. This book is my story as the only person of color to work on a policy level in one of the largest disability coalitions in the country with over 100 organizations for over 10 years. Note that I say person of color, not just Black, because, believe it or not, there was no representation of Asian American, Latina, or Indigenous people in policy positions. There are few people with visible disabilities who are policy staffers and only about 7 women in positions of leadership. Yes, these statistics are as of 2022. It is also my declaration to the thousands of Black, Indigenous, people of color, BIPOC, who are disabled that there is no need to wait for the disability rights community to get it together or to change. Not with the creation of disability justice, which is a new and powerful movement that focuses on BIPOC disabled people, and the work being done around the world to enhance and create change for BIPOC disabled people must be at the center of all social justice work. It is time for the social justice movement to embrace the fact that if we dismantle the systemic problems and barriers of BIPOC disabled people, then we will create the new world order that is collective liberation for all. I write this from a place of frustration, anger, and continued recovery from the trauma of dealing with microaggressions and racial harassment in public policy in the National Disability Rights Movement based in Washington, D.C. The disability rights community embraces covert racism. They refuse to reprimand or rebuke anyone in the community who has been blatantly racist or chose those they don't like and ridicule them. But if they are in good with the larger community, nothing is said to these horrible people. There is an actual nickname for this crew. They are called the Disability Mafia. It is a community that has perpetuated racism while suppressing those facing discrimination. In their disingenuous promises to make a difference, they continue to dominate the conversation and prevent any change in their advocacy faction by keeping it an all-white one. They preserve their dominance by telling those in this community who are oppressed that they are overly sensitive, angry, confrontational, and disrespectful, and are overreacting, which is an intentional use of their majority to perpetuate suppression. I hope to inspire others who are striving valiantly to reverse the harms that continue to be inflicted in this space. My desire is to give hope to every person who works tirelessly to end the trauma caused in this space. This conversation about the toxic workplace environment in the nonprofit world has been suppressed by many. This is not a phenomenon of white-led organizations, as many BIPOC leaders and Black leaders have been accused of engaging in harmful employment spaces as well. So much so that many of our nation's leading social justice organization staffs have had to unionize in order to be treated fairly and paid fair wages for their work. Imagine working for an organization that fights for fair pay and fair treatment in the workplace for the country and is not providing these things for their own staff.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?